In this video, we're going to respond to this woman's comment. In your words, it's about getting them to change their mind. That's inherently predatory and encourage antisocial behavior towards women. The title of the video in question she is responding to is titled, "Do not impress your opinions upon the other person. Instead, let the other party come to you." In that title, I used the word romantic interest instead of the blanket word party. The video in question was actually referring to something very specific, a mother and daughter situation where the mother constantly impresses her opinion upon the daughter, trying to get the daughter to change her mind, but that's not going to work. Do we know why that is not going to work? Because when you impress your opinions upon someone else, that is going to make the other person be a lot more fixed in the decision towards whatever it is they've decided. And so in order to actually change someone's mind, you actually don't do anything. You let the other person decide for themselves. On your end, you don't have to do a lot, but you do question your own behavior, and you open the floodgates to invite a decision on their end to be made in your favor. There is nothing inherently predatory about getting someone to change their mind. People are frequently bombarded with subliminal manipulation all the time. You can see this in the grocery stores, how the environment is designed to position things in front of you so that you are more likely to buy certain things that you don't even need. Marketing all over the television and social media is all designed to manipulate you, to compel you to basically change your mind into buying mode so that you can buy something and spend your money. The reason people dress up nicely and do their hair and makeup, etc., is a manipulation thing. We are all inherently manipulators. And let's not take that word manipulate in a bad context, because manipulate it's just another way of saying warp, or it just means to modify, or it means to exert some type of influence or control. And we do this all the time. The only reason the word manipulate has a bad connotation towards it is because the person feels cheated on the receiving end. But inherently, if you want to manipulate something, if you want to get a glass of water, you are manipulating the water into the glass of water. You pick up the glass itself. You are manipulating the environment around you. The glass and the water themselves were manipulated by the manipulator. Now, I wanted to point out that not only is this stuff not inherently predatory, but the stuff that I teach, in fact, does not discourage antisocial behavior towards women. It actually encourages social positive behavior towards women. I am actually teaching people that instead of sending cringy text messages and trying to force the other person to change their mind, I'm simply saying take a step back, look at your own behavior, and see how you may have contributed to that person making a decision that wasn't in your favor. I'm bringing to the table that we need to be accountable for our own trespasses and our own shortcomings instead of putting that on the other person. Does that sound like antisocial behavior towards women? Instead of breaking up with someone and your ex is constantly bombarding you with messages on things that are not relevant, they're so hurt, they're such a victim, and they blame you, it's just like, well, no wonder that the breakup happened, right? Because this is how they must have behaved during the relationship. And so if only that ex were to reflect on their own behavior, which is what I'm basically saying, if you can only reflect on your contribution to the problem, you'll be in a much better position to allow the other party to change their mind if they want to. There is nothing inherently wrong with inviting the other party to change their mind. There is nothing wrong with welcoming that type of thing. In fact, I would even say that the LGBTQ+ etc. community very likely do this themselves all the time. They constantly encourage and invite people to become part of that ever-growing community. And in my personal opinion, that is certainly not a holy community. And it is not really in the best interest of that community to grow, because it is so unholy. But alas, they have a strong and significant influence on the world. I'd actually go as far as to say that that community, in general, as a whole, is actually quite predatory because they want to include their doctrine onto children. And it is now becoming a multi-billion-dollar industry towards teenagers and growing adults, thinking that they can cross-dress and be something that they are actually not. That is actually predatory. But I digress. The only thing that can really make someone change their mind is the user, the person in control of their own mind. The only person who can actually change your mind is you. The other party, the only person who has control over what the other party says or thinks it does, is the other party. Party 1 has no control over what Party 2 does, but Party 1 does have the power to control their own approach, control their own behavior. And if Party 1 can change their own behavior, Party 2 is more likely to change their mind towards Party 1. So if you want to get back together after a breakup, then this is more likely to be your best case scenario. If you have a family member who's distanced themselves for whatever reason, and you would like to get on good terms with them, maybe even invite them back to your life, then it is in your best interest to not bombard them constantly with text messages and insults and trying to control them the way they think and punishing them. Instead, we can be much more welcoming and open-minded. If we want more customers in our business, then perhaps we can look at ourselves and say, well, maybe I'm not doing a great job at being a business owner, and I need to look at certain things that I might be getting wrong or I might be oblivious to, instead of blaming the customer, instead of blaming the economy, instead of blaming the government, and in fact relying on the government. If you have experienced a breakup, is there anything inherently wrong with wanting to get back together? It requires that one or both parties change their mind about the breakup entirely. Is there something wrong with that? I mean, if they both change themselves for the better, is there something wrong with even just one party changing their own behavior? In what way does it make it predatory for one party to change their own behavior that invites the second party to come to them, to be drawn to them? If you are in the dating scene and you are looking to get in contact with someone of the opposite sex and you want to become more attractive, is there something predatory about dressing up nicely to invite the other person to think that you are attractive? Is there something predatory about talking and improving your communication skills so as to be able to understand the other party on a deep, meaningful level? I think maybe what this comment is trying to suggest is that it is afraid that I'm going to give people control and power basically over themselves, because if you can give people control over yourself, it means that another party cannot give you control. And it's quite contradictory because these labels are being thrown out nilly-willy. It's like calling someone a Nazi. It's like that's just so out there. What is so antisocial about stopping your own toxic behavior so as to be able to enable the other party to feel a lot more safer with you? If you can cease your own toxic behavior to invite the other party to come back towards you, to feel compelled to or drawn to you, what is so antisocial about that? It shows that the person who is in control of their own behavior essentially has significant influence over, I suppose, what the other party does. Now, if the other party feels drawn or compelled to come back or return the favor or reciprocate to Party 1, that is still on Party 2's choice. That is on their shoulders. If they decide to come back to Party 1, or if they decide to get on good terms with Party 1, if Party 2 feels compelled or drawn to be in alignment with Party 1, that is still on Party 2's shoulders. So they are still technically in control, because no one can really ultimately decide what Party 2 does. Only Party 2 has that control. And this is why I say in my top pinned videos at the moment that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So how do you get the horse to drink? Well, you don't. The horse has to drink on its own accord.